This episode of Bulletproof Cash Flow is brought to you by Realty Dynamics. Learn how people like you can build substantial passive income while creating wealth for the long term through real estate investing. Visit rdyne.com. That's RDYNE.com.
But that again, when you're that one store owner, you can't think in those terms. You don't have the income to justify bringing on full-time maintenance. I mean, it's like buying one house versus buying a multifamily complex. Your listeners know this. There's just economies of scale that can be achieved there. So that's what we're looking for.
Working because you want to, not because you have to, is financial freedom. And we want to help you create that. Welcome to the Bulletproof Cash Flow Show. We're going to teach you how to achieve lifetime financial freedom through real estate investment. Your host is a multifamily syndicator and property developer. He's done deals reaching into the hundreds of millions of dollars. You'll hear from experts in all aspects of real estate investment, finance, development, and management. Everything you need is right here. This is the Bulletproof Cash Flow Show. And this is your host, Augustino Pintus.
Hey everyone, it's Augustino. Most people dream of earning money minus to work. Now, one way to do that is through passive investing. Now, today's guest knows all about this. He learned early on that investing always starts with your mindset, and you have to learn through investing the proper way by creating flows of cash, right, to create wealth. Now, as a long-time entrepreneur, he has led a variety of real estate-related ventures throughout his career. He's been involved with ground-up construction, self-storage, parking, retail, multifamily apartments, RV parks, and single-family homes. Now, he likes to focus on the ground-up side of construction rather than renovations when he doesn't invest in properties that require a heavy lift. But one thing he's also really loving these days is the laundromat business, which he's going to get into. Now, additionally, he hosts the How to Scale Commercial Real Estate podcast. It's the daily show, and he is the founder of the Bricken Investment Group. He has participated in over $30 million in acquisitions in 2021 alone. Now, with all that, I'd like to welcome Sam Wilson to the show. Sam, buddy, thanks for coming on, man.
Augustino, thank you for having me. I guess I need to update my bio. 2022 is past here too as well. So,
how much you do in 22?
Oh man, we probably didn't tacked on another 15 or 20 in RV resorts in 2020. Yeah, but who cares, man? It's who cares how many dollars it is? Were they good investments is the question. And so up to this point, I can say unequivocally yes.
Beautiful. That's what I love to hear. That's what I love to hear. Now, guys, like what Sam has to say, you can reach him via his contact page at brickeninvestmentgroup.com. Okay, Sam, go ahead and tell us listeners a little bit more about you, about your journey, and how'd you get here?
Yeah, how did I get here, man? That's a great question. In real estate specifically, maybe we'll just start there, and I'll try to keep it brief and not bore you listeners out there. In real estate specifically, I sold a company in Indianapolis. I lived up there for the first 30 years of my life. I've always really either worked for myself or for one of my siblings. So, I mean, when you sell a business at 30, you are categorically unemployable because I've never worked for anyone else. I also had no college education, just, working our own companies. And I didn't know what to do next in life because I'd kind of been siloed in one industry. And so we sold that business. I hate the cold. We moved south. It's still not warm enough even where I am now in Memphis, Tennessee. But it is nice. I do have my windows open here on February 21st, and I'm in short sleeves and it's comfy, so I can't complain. But I digress. I didn't know what to do next in life. Putzed around a lot of different things the first year. Ended up buying a foreclosure at a foreclosure auction one day on a whim. I was the only bidder. This was back in 2013 when I did not know how special it was to go to auctions and there was no one else there. And so I bought a ton of houses that way, all by myself. I would go and I'd be the only bidder at the auction. And they'd give the opening bid and I'd say $1 over. And they're like, going, okay, the property's yours. I had no idea what I was doing then. My gosh, if I could go back to those days. Anyway, you don't know what you don't know. I made a pile of money on that first house and I said, well, shoot, if I did it once, I could just keep doing it. And so I did. All the way until 2018 when I'd had enough of flipping houses, had enough of babysitting contractors, and just really started tacking on different iterations of commercial real estate. And we still own most of those assets to this day. I mean, as you mentioned, everything from parking to self-storage to multifamily properties to raw land to laundromats and RV resorts. I mean, all of these we keep. I feel a little schizophrenic in that I haven't stuck with one in particular. I've been very opportunistic in what's coming across my desk. And I think that's one of the fun things about this business is the ability to scale, even maybe if it's not inside the same asset class. That has come with some downsides. I'll say that too, though. The lack of focus has probably cost me some, probably more speed maybe than if I had been just stuck with one asset class. But I've really enjoyed me learning all the different opportunities that are out there. And for us, right now, man, like you said, we're going long in the laundry business. And I think I have at least 3 very compelling reasons why that is. But, I'll turn it back over to you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I want to hear about those 3 reasons. I mean, but I honestly don't think it's a bad thing though to sort of assess the market and see where you're at and see where it's going. It's not always a bad thing. Depending on the market, depending on where you're at, maybe it makes sense to do laundry or to go heavy in parking, for instance, right? Like down here in Cleveland, for a while, I look outside right now because I see the city from where I'm at here, and there was a lot of parking lots down here. Now, if you jump into the parking space, for instance, here in Cleveland, those parking lots are going to be all filled with buildings at some point here very, very soon, right?
Yep.
So, but in your case, you shifted focus to the laundry business, which is quite interesting. We were talking in the green room, I have a friend of mine that is heavy in laundry. He loves the laundry business. He's been in it for probably longer than you and I have been alive. And he's made a killing at it. So it's a very interesting business, especially for anyone out there that's listening that's currently in multifamily, because if you own the machines, that's another stream of income. But I think it's a little different than what you're doing today, right? It sounds like you're doing actual like retail locations with laundry in it, right?
We are. That's exactly right. Yeah, there's different iterations or different types of the laundry business. Some are, where they place the machines in your multifamily complex and they service them and collect the revenues, and you guys split it and work out programs like that. They do that for universities. That's not the game that we are in. That's kind of a whole different model. The one we have found right now that really makes a lot of sense is the retail laundry facility. I call it laundry facility and not necessarily just a laundromat, because laundromats are typically unattended. They're dirty. There's nobody there. You walk in, you do your laundry, you leave. It's like this just pretty dry experience. And so for us, we're just the innovation. I'm gonna call it innovation. It's not even that, but it's just basic sophistication that we bring to the ownership of these stores is just far different than what the rest of the market provides. Like you walk in, our lights are on 24/7. I mean, the place is just brightly lit. We're attended 12 hours, 15 hours a day. So from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., there's somebody there working. There's somebody there cleaning. You get greeted when you walk in the store. There's security cameras everywhere. The place is spotless. Like we are cleaning constantly. We offer, robust drop-off services. We do a delivery service. So you can order on the app. You get on your phone and you order it, and we'll come pick it up at your door and wash, dry, and fold it and bring it back to your house the next day. We run a big commercial side of the business as well. So there's a lot of different parts of this, maybe that aren't just that. We call them zombie mats, but those standalone zombie laundromats where you just walk in, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm about to get stabbed. What's going wrong here? Like, I got to get out of this place. So those are some of the things that we're doing. And each of those serves a different customer demographic at different times in the market cycle. The people that use a laundromat on a weekly basis to wash and dry and fold their clothes, they've been doing that for generations, literally. I mean, we have people that come into one of our stores. Like I used to come to this store, back my grandparents. Like, what in the world? Like 3 generations of you guys using the same laundromat? That's just, I don't understand that, to be honest with you. But that's a very consistent customer, no matter the economic cycle. Like it doesn't matter if times are going great or times are going bad. In fact, the worse the economy gets, the more those people that use laundromats need laundromats. Because let's say they did have a washer and dryer at home. I don't know if you priced out a washer and dryer recently, but it's $2,000 to get something decent. That's a lot of dough, for somebody in that situation. So that said, the worse the economy gets, the better our self-serve side of our business does. Now, maybe the higher end customer, the one that's ordering laundry from their app on their phone, maybe that dies off a little bit, but it's still a fairly recession-proof business. So that's one part of this business I love. The second part is it's inflation resistant. I can reprice our entire store from my phone in like 30 seconds, like a gas station, where it's like, oh, well, crud. Look, once again, utilities just keep on climbing. And not that I want to pinch the little guy, but we can pass those associated costs on just like a gas station can, where it's like, well, the cost of our products going in costs more today. And which I don't do it that regularly, but I could. And that's my point, is that we have that capacity. There's no like, wondering, well, we got to wait 12 months. We got leases, or we got to wait 36 months for a lease to renew, and then we'll get a 5% bump. It's like, I can do it today. So it's a recession resistant, inflation resistant business. Thirdly is that the returns are just absurd. I think you mentioned that with your buddy, where it's like, when we can achieve a mid-20s cash on cash return on an annualized basis, it's like, well, geez, I mean, 10 of these and it's a brand new, it could change your life owning 10 of those for most people. So, or even 5 of them. Shoot. I mean, and that's the last part of it, is that once it's up and running, they're pretty hands-off investments. I mean, going back to your intro there, like, it's, as far as passive goes, like one of the stores that we own, gosh, I might put an hour, maybe 2 hours a month total into. So it's a lot like your buddy, I think, who's experienced that, in that when you can achieve a mid-20s cash on cash return on an annualized basis, it becomes a very compelling investment, where it's like, oh, I mean, 2 or 3 of these stores could change most people's lives, but that's not our plan. Our plan is to go as big as we can. I think that's the fun. And so I'll give you 3 reasons there already. 1, recession resistant, inflation resistant, excellent returns. And the 4th is that, so I'm giving you more than 3 even. The 4th is that it's just ripe for consolidation. Like, most people only own 1, maybe 2 stores. Well, why is that? It's because, well, it's a lot of work. They don't put the time in to build the systems and the processes behind it. It's capital intensive. Okay, well, we can solve all of that. That's easy. That's the easy part. Like the store I just bought a store here a couple of weeks ago. Picture this. The guy had owned the store for 23 years. He is still, which is one of the other things, like, laundromats take quarters. Like, what is this, 1965? Are we done yet? Why are we putting quarters in machines still? My gosh, advance to 2023. Like, we're going to spend $50,000 in that store just on our payment systems. Why is that? Because now people can walk in and start our machines with their phone. They can swipe their credit card at the thing. They can get loyalty cards, and we can track them, and then we can upsell them and send them emails and give them offers to reload their cards more often. They're only good at our store. And then you collect the float and all those things. This guy can't get his head wrapped around that. For 23 years, 2 and 3 times a week, he's opening all 60 of his coin boxes, dumping them in a thing, wheeling them to the back, putting them in the change machine. I'm just like, wow. And he's like, I've never had anybody ever empty my coin boxes before. I'm like, that's why I'm buying your store, sir.
Hey, Augustino here, and I would love to connect directly with you. Text the word books to 844-428-1344 to receive weekly book recommendations from me. Well, I think I would imagine that the reason why they do that is to skirt the tax man, right? So now if you're getting straight up cash, you can claim whatever you want within reason on the return, right? That's usually why they do that kind of stuff. Because if it's straight up cash, then, say they made, and that one store pulled in $250,000, you can just say, well, I only made $150,000 and just pocket the rest,
Sure.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm not condoning, by the way, any type of, skirting the tax man or anything else like that. I'm just saying, that's with a cash business, you can do that kind of stuff. That's probably one of the motivating factors. But it sounds to me like what you're doing is you're going into existing laundromat businesses and picking those up. You're not going into a place and rebuilding it all then, right?
Well, yeah, but we are rebuilding. We'll just go in and gut a store. That's the strategy.
Yeah, gut a store, yeah.
Yeah, you gut it and start over completely. And that's just, you can't tack these on we're going to add a machine here. No, you just gut it and start over, bite the bullet and provide a brand new product to the market. And the market generally responds very well to that. And yes, to answer your question, in this business, it is fraught with people that do it for that very reason. But that's such a limiting behavior. Like, okay, cool. Well, you picked up $100,000 this year, tax free. Good for you. But you can't do that with 100 stores. You can't even do that with 10 stores. You just can't keep up. Like it's something where it's just, for us, it's like, I don't care. Yeah, of course it all goes on a credit card, and of course it all gets processed. It goes to just whatever, pay the tax, but we can pay the tax and grow a portfolio in a meaningful way that I don't have to work in every day. That to me makes a lot more sense.
Well, no, because what you're talking about now is, let's say you have 50 stores in a given area.
Right.
Those people can only spend that money once they buy that card in those stores. You can offer, like you said, you can offer rebates, you can offer discounts, you can start pushing, hey, we have a new dry cleaning service now, drop it off here, or we can pick it up at your place, or whatever. It's like some sort of joint venture. You can do all that. You're buying a list is what you're doing.
For sure.
And to your point, you're able to expand it. So yeah, I mean, that's a very different scenario, So there was a point in time when I was looking at doing all this laundry business stuff, and I was discouraged by the broker. And I'm sure anybody listening right now, and when it comes to a laundry business, they might have been told the same thing. They say, are you handy? Like, are you a handy guy? Like, can you handle a hammer and a wrench and all that fun stuff? I don't.
Right.
I can't do it. Right. I'm not that guy. And I said, no, I'm not. I'm an investor. It's what I do. Well, this business probably isn't for you then, because this business requires someone to be handy.
Yep.
So for the longest time, I was discouraged. I was told to basically stay away from this business. But your approach is somewhat different, because what you're doing, it sounds like, is you're going in, you're getting rid of all the machines. I'm assuming you're selling them off, probably. And then you're going in, putting all new machines. So new machines are not cheap. You're automating the place. You're putting in a whole lot of technology. And you're basically turning it into a giant water-based ATM. That's what you're doing, right?
I've not heard that before. I like that. I'm going to have to write that.
You can use it. I'll give it to you. That's my gift to you.
A water-based ATM. I like it a lot. Yeah, that's absolutely right. And there is that maintenance component that we do offset a lot of that by putting in brand new machines. I mean, so in our plan is every 7 years to just gut the store and start over. Why? Well, because we can sell most of that equipment that's been in our store for 7 years for 50 to 60% of what we paid for it. We start the depreciation clock right back over. And then we don't have the maintenance nightmare that a lot of these legacy owners have with equipment that's 25 years old. It's like, so we cut out a lot of that. There is still, stuff that happens. And that's one of the, it was funny in our weekly team meeting today. I'm like, maintenance, like, we've got a good maintenance guy, but I need more than one good maintenance guy. I need like maintenance staff that are, dedicated, the guys in the truck that drive around and just handle all of our maintenance issues, whatever they are, from boilers down to, stuff stuck in the lint traps to whatever. I don't know. I can name all the stuff that goes wrong. And that guy isn't me either, by the way. So, I mean, I'd break it just trying to take it apart. But that again, when you're that one store owner, you can't think in those terms. You don't have the income to justify bringing on full-time maintenance. I mean, it's like buying one house versus buying a multifamily complex. Your listeners know this. There's just economies of scale that can be achieved there. So that's what we're looking for.
Now, does it make sense then to go in and lease those machines? Like, say, for instance, you get into a laundromat, an old laundromat, you find a great deal. There's, I don't know, maybe 50 washers, 50 dryers. Does it make sense to get rid of those ones and lease them? Or does it make sense to acquire them and then sell them off in 7 years back to Speed Queen or whoever it is that you're buying the machines from?
Yeah, I've not heard of anybody on the retail side that leases. I think, again, that's maybe more of a model in the university or the multifamily space or things like that. On the retail laundromat side, I don't know anybody that does that. And maybe I don't know them because I haven't looked for it, which I haven't. So, yeah, the short answer is I don't think that that's an option. I could be wrong. And if it were, I'm not sure I would take it anyway. And I just can't imagine. I mean, there's just so the turns per day these machines go through, you have to be really confident in your equipment as to the one that would, for the person leasing it, I would think. I mean, because they're just such heavy use.
Oh yeah, such heavy use. And to your point then, so if it's a 7-year turn and you're able to get 60% of what you paid out of it, which is still not bad, then you end up okay. So I think part of the value proposition or the model when you're figuring this out is, the cost of the machine minus that, what you're going to sell it for in 7 years from now,
Right.
Plus depreciation. You get depreciation as well. You get to take as well. So I think a big part of it, though, to your point, is marketing to that set group of people now, converting those once quarter spenders into an actual list, and then marketing to those folks. So let's talk a little bit about that. So how does that take place then? Are you guys building all that stuff internally, or do you have some sort of marketing guru type scenario company that handles all that stuff for you? Like how does that happen?
No marketing guru company yet. It is something we're building internally. Now, there's a lot of our payment systems that will capture a lot of that data for us that we can then turn around and reuse, build an email list out of it, build a text message list out of it. Like, hey, it's, Merry Christmas. We're doing reload your loyalty card, get a 20% bump on your card. So, come in for the next 7 days and you'll put in $20 and you get $28 on your card or whatever that is. What did I say that was? 20%, $24.
20%. Yeah.
Sorry, gotta do math. Need a calculator here. So whatever it is, that's how you build that. That is something I think, looking long term, that's something I'd love to build internally. Even our payment systems side of things, there's some stuff I want to do that I just think the market hasn't quite developed yet, to be honest. And again, this is a business that's moving again, like 50 years behind the times. Like, why are we still taking quarters? I don't understand this. But that's the upside for us as well.
So in terms of the places that you're building out these or improving these laundromats, it's very different than obviously multifamily. It's very different than all that. So because I think you have to target a very certain type of area. So what sort of areas, if someone was listening to you right now, what sort of areas should they be looking at and say, you know what, that'd be a perfect spot for Sam to put up a laundromat? What sort of areas would you tell them? It's
going to be think of where a Class C apartment complex, maybe a Class C to C minus apartment complex would do well. And/or on the fringe, Memphis is great for this, just because like Memphis is you're a stone's throw from a house worth $50,000 from a house that's worth $500,000. And I mean that literally. Like you can go anywhere. So you can serve, again, going back to our conversation earlier, you can serve both demographics at once, which is really great. Where it's like, oh, hey, you're a decamillionaire, which they probably have people doing laundry in their house, but whatever. You get what I'm saying. There's people that make enough money they can order laundry, and there's people that need to come and use your laundromat. And so that's a great spot to be. But I think just traditionally speaking, it's going to be in an area where laundromats are needed. So, think wherever a Class C apartment complex is doing well, you're probably not within too far of a distance of where a laundromat might do well. And there's also, we run demographic reports on all that too. So you want to see the number of renters within a 1, 3, max 5 mile radius. People don't generally drive 5 miles. They can find a laundromat sooner than that. So really your 1, 2, and 3 mile radius of how many people are in that area. What's the general income? I passed on building a store here recently because they made too much money. Like it was like, within the 2 mile radius, like the average household income was like $95,000. I'm like, that's not our customer. Not building there. Doesn't make any sense.
I want to take a pause from today's show to share something that I've been encountering. As I speak to many investors, there's this concern, and the concern is centered around the inflation we've been experiencing and the devaluation of our currency. Now, we've seen some of the highest inflationary periods over the past 30 years. That's up over 8%. The economists actually believe that inflation is closer to 20%. Some say it's even more. Now, what does this mean for you? Well, it means that money that is sitting in your bank account or self-directed IRA that's not invested in physical assets that hedge against inflation are losing buying power. That means that every minute, every second, that dollar is becoming less valuable. You see this every day. You see this in the groceries you buy, the gasoline you buy, everyday items that you're buying on a daily basis are becoming more and more expensive, and you're using a less powerful dollar to buy these items, meaning that dollar is losing value if it isn't put into a property that produces cash flow, just like real estate does. Now, our team here at Bulletproof Cash Flow has put together a series of weekly webinars that cover real estate investing like multifamily, net lease, and real estate development. Now, these are purely educational webinars. In these webinars, we talk about why real estate offers a powerful opportunity right now and why it makes sense to invest in these assets today. So if you're interested in real estate or want to have the opportunity to get involved as a hedge against inflation yourself, I encourage you to go to bulletproofcashflow.com/webinars. That's bulletproofcashflow.com/webinars. Now you go there. These webinars are 45 minutes and they cover different topics every week. We go over the things you need to know to avoid some of the common pitfalls when it comes to investing while getting you prepared to invest your paper dollars into a real physical asset. Now, if you can't make the webinars, just go ahead and register and we will send you a recording that you can watch at any time. And by the way, these webinars are entirely free. There's no cost to you. This is just something that we do to educate our folks out there. So if you're enjoying this episode, please like and subscribe to Bulletproof Cashflow. It helps the channel tremendously when you do. Now let's go ahead and get back to the show.
Which I thought it was a decent location, but I was clearly very wrong once we got the numbers back. So those are things that you want to look for, and just being prepared, I think, for that is part of it. But I think the other, and I don't want to get too much into the, over dramatize this, but the other fun part about this business is that we get to really serve a demographic in a way with an excellent product that isn't used to being served. Like when they walk in the door, they're greeted. Hey, welcome to Ellie's Laundry. That's my wife's name is Ellie. We named it after her. Welcome to Ellie's Laundry. Like, and it's clean, it's brightly lit, and it's just there's this brand new environment. The bookshelves are all lined with books. We're bringing Santa Claus at Christmas, bring the Easter Bunny for pictures. We do all sorts of community events. There's free laundry nights for seniors. There's all these cool things that really build a community around this. And again, I don't want to over dramatize it, but has developed an incredible following for us because it's different. Because this demographic, this Class C demographic, and again, it's a pretty neutral space too, because everybody's there to do laundry. I mean, so you got white people, African Americans, you got Muslims, you got the Hispanic community, you got everybody all in one spot in there washing their laundry, and they're there to do one thing. And it's a pretty peaceful environment too. It's like, hey, wait, this is really cool. We all get to come in here, congregate, serve these people well, and then we get rewarded for it as well. So it's kind of a fun thing to be in that Class C environment, which a lot of us tend to stray away from. It's like, man, I don't want to go in there. I don't want to get shot. I don't want to get stabbed. I don't want to this, that, and the other. And it's like, no, actually, we can be a light in the neighborhood. And it's really, really cool. So bringing that product as well and kind of coupling all that into one big package is a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, it sounds like, and I'm not sure if you intended on doing this in the beginning, but there's many things when it comes to improving a C-class multifamily asset, like building the community, for instance, is one of the key aspects that C-class operators do to keep occupancy stable, right? Because if you have a network of people that you spend a lot of time with in your community at your apartment, the chances of you leaving goes down.
Right.
Where if you have no connections to your neighbor, you have no ties, you can go anywhere you want.
Right.
Yeah. So, but it sounds to me like you've incorporated some of those things into this business. Was that intentional, or where'd you learn all that stuff?
To be honest with you, I'm the business side. I saw the laundromat and I said, hey, this is a chance for us to make money. My wife saw the laundromat and she was a born nurturer. So she saw the laundromat and said, we can turn this into something really cool in the community. So next thing you know, we're washing, the high school band uniforms, and we're doing this and we're doing that and all this. And that was it just kind of was an iterative or just kind of an organic thing that developed. And suddenly we're like, wait, we've got a really cool replicable model here that people want, and pay up for. Like, we're the most expensive one within 5 miles by far. And we're packed all the time, and it's on purpose. And we're the highest rated, most reviewed laundry mats in Memphis. And it's like, well, we're also the most expensive, and everybody loves it. So carry on. So yeah, it was kind of born completely out of my wife's absolute nurturing ability.
No, I think people will pay a little more, if the place looks nice. Like you said, it's well lit, new machines or new-ish machines. Even if the machine's 6 years old, if it's a good condition, you can tell. If everything's spick and span, people will look at that and they'll feel good about going there. They'll spend an extra $20 or extra $1, whatever, per spin. They'll do that. No problem.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, and it is. Yeah, our margins are made in margins are made in dollars at this point, $1 at a time, which is kind of crazy to say, but it adds up fast.
So now when it comes to the rising costs of utilities, with all this inflation that we've been hit with over the last, year or so, maybe a little longer than that, everyone's getting smashed with water and power.
Boy.
To the point where, especially here in Cleveland, for instance, where many landlords, many owners would absorb the costs. Now it's like there's this huge movement that's pushing all this stuff back to the tenants. I think it's happening on a national basis now.
Yep.
How do you combat those sorts of things? Because as far as I know, you're not able to recycle water. Maybe you are, I'm not sure. But like there's certain things you cannot do. Obviously, you can't recycle electricity. And if you're using bright lights, even if it is low power lighting, it's still, you're running it 24 hours a day, gets to be expensive, right? So how do you combat those sorts of things?
Yeah, and it goes back to, you're right, pushing it back to the end user is really the only thing you can do. So for us, keeping pulse on what utility costs is important. I mean, we saw our utility prices double last year, which is a lot. And we did eat it last year. I know I can reprice our store, but I also want to just try to, and again, being the most expensive for as long as we have been, probably allowed us to eat that and just not, raise prices again on the end user. And we've seen some of those utility costs come down, but to be honest, there's really, other than passing it on, there's nothing you can do. We're doing the same thing, just to your point, to passing it on to the end user. We're doing the same thing in our RV resorts right now. Whereas we're going back to these at the utility pedestal, where you plug in your 30 or 50 amp service. There's now meters going in there, and those meters are wirelessly connected to our billing software. So then, okay, hey, you came in for a 3-day weekend there, Augustino, and you brought a 40-foot Class A diesel pusher with 3 air conditioners on 105 degrees. Well, guess what? When you leave and you ran all those 3 air conditioners all weekend long, you're going to get that tack right onto your credit card for $60 of electrical usage that I'm sure you enjoyed, but I'm not paying for. So, I'm trying to jump in tracks on asset classes, but yes, you're right. It is getting passed on to the user, and there's nothing really we can do about it other than pass it on. It's like pass it on or go out of business. So you do have to choose at some point.
Yeah. And I think when it comes to recycling water, I think in the laundry business, you can't do that, right? No. And here in the Mid-South, I mean, it's so dang wet. We've got so much water. We don't know. We're trying to get rid of water, not we're not in the Mountain West. Sad to say, but it's just, we have plenty of water here. But yeah, there's no way to really recycle it or keep it. I mean, it's just dirty gray water, and just got to go back to the city for processing. That's unfortunate. Unfortunate. Yeah. So now, where do you see this business growing in the next, the next 5 years? I mean, certainly, we got some economic challenges, and I think you touched on that earlier in terms of, whenever there's a challenge in the economy, these types of businesses flourish. Where do you see this thing going in the next 5 years or so? Where do I want it to go for me, or where do I see the industry as a whole going? Both. Let's say this for you and then for the industry. For me, I want to be one of the largest laundromat owners in the U.S. And I mean that. Like we've tacked on 1, 2, 3 team members in the last 30 days on the management side, and are just building that as rapidly as we can. We're well capitalized. We've got amazing support behind us in what we're doing, and are just kind of swinging for the fences, because I think there's a window and we're in it, and it feels good to be in that groove. So for us, man, we are actively not just looking in Memphis, but looking in Little Rock, looking in Nashville, looking in Indianapolis, Kansas City, St. Louis. The map just gets bigger the more we look. Like, okay, there's opportunity here. We need to strike now. The industry as a whole, it's not going anywhere. Let me differentiate and just make sure your listeners understand that we are not in the dry cleaning business. I'm just not. Dry cleaning, I think, is dying a slow and very, very painful death. Like it just is. Maybe somebody else could prove me wrong, and I'm open to that. But even I myself dry clean very, very little anymore. I mean, most things, even shirts you buy at the store anymore aren't. They don't have to dry clean, and you pull them out of the washer and they don't wrinkle anymore. Like that's crazy. Oh, and then it's also tremendously expensive too. You're talking some places charge $3-4 a shirt. Sure. You're one use out of it, then you just put it back in the bag and send it back to the dry cleaner. It's expensive. It's expensive. Yeah. So we're not in the dry cleaning business, but the laundromat business as a whole, I mean, it's not going anywhere. Again, the worse the economy gets, the more people that need laundromats need laundromats. So it's just a business that does well in all cycles, but in particular, it tends to fare
its way through the storm really well.
Yep. Now, are you using syndication to put these deals together then?
Haven't yet. That's it. And we will this year. One of the challenges, here's a challenge in the business, is that let's say it's a standalone store, right? And let's say we're, like I was even looking at one this morning, a standalone store. We buy the building, and this is Memphis pricing. So just kind of put your glasses on when you hear me say these numbers. But let's say we buy the building, we put in all new equipment, we do our capital improvements in the building. We might be into $1 million. Maybe it's 800,000. I don't know. So let's just call it $1 million for easy numbers. That's a tough one to syndicate. Like syndicating $1 million deal is tough. If we did it in all equity, it could work, which is maybe one of the things that we're kicking around right now is maybe just doing this in all equity, just taking risk completely off the table, which diminishes our returns. But the return profile is still so robust that maybe I don't care if we shave off 3 or 4 points of interest in a year. It's like, oh, well, whoop-de-doo. Now we have no risk. So that's one of the things that we're considering right now. But even at $1 million a store, it's just tough. So what we're doing and what I'm proposing that we do is buy 3 or 4 stores and package them up into one syndication. So now it's a $4 million raise. Okay, we can go out and do that. And then it becomes a meaningful return to your investors because their risk is spread across 3 or 4 stores. It's just a better product, I think, as a whole. So the long answer to your question is yes, we will be syndicating them. I haven't done it yet just because of that one limitation of not having enough products to put into one pool yet to send out to market.
Yeah, it almost sounds like a blind pool fund, very similar to our net lease assets where we have say a $10 million raise and we need, or rather, $10 million, well, say it's a $10 million cap. We still have to raise like say 4 million or 5 million or whatever.
Right.
So the investors don't know where the assets are going to be. They know what the business plan is. So we're going to buy single tenant net lease assets with this type of return profile, located in these types of areas.
Yep.
Done. I mean, blind pools are typically harder to raise for, as you know. Yep. But if the juice is there, then it's worth doing a deal.
Right.
That's what it comes down to.
And we're gonna solve that difficulty to raise for the blind pool fund by really purchasing the assets ourselves up front, but not implementing the value add plan. So maybe we'll go out, we'll close in the store, maybe we'll send contractors in and start cleaning the place up, maybe we'll get all the painting done, maybe we'll get floors done, all those kind of things as we wait for equipment, because equipment takes like 4 to 6 months to get in. But in that time, we can then package up 3 or 4 stores with our own money and then turn around and go recapitalize that. And then our investors know exactly what they're buying into. So we've solved, I think, that blind pool fund resistance maybe that could be met otherwise.
Yeah, I like it. That's a good plan. Solved. See that? We solved the problem.
I like it. Which we can do that in this business. Probably when you're batting in the 10 to $20 million a crack game, I don't have the pockets for that. So
right. That's awesome. Well, good. Well, we talked a lot about stuff. We talked a lot today, rather, about laundromats. I think it's a very interesting business. One that I looked at some time ago. I have my hands full with everything else. Otherwise, I'd probably jump in with you. But
right.
If you had someone listening right now, and maybe they're kicking around doing laundry, what would you tell them?
Get in. Just go do it. I mean, it's one of those things I didn't know anything about, and I had enough real estate experience in probably enough money to make some stupid decisions and not really pay for it too heavily. But just get in. I mean, it's one of those things that the industry is ripe. It's open. I mean, the door is wide open to walk through. If you're looking for a blue ocean, this is one of them. And just go do it. Go find a zombie laundromat somewhere that looks terrible that you can improve, and then swing for the fences with it. It's I think the industry success rate, like on a like the SBA, like how many businesses fail, whatever. It's like 95% success rate in the laundromat business. Compare that to a restaurant. I mean, I don't know what restaurants are. 1 in 5. It's pretty low.
Yeah, it's very low. Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty low. So yeah, I mean, that would be it is just get out and go do it and make your mistakes. But it's something that it's a pretty forgiving industry. So go for it.
Love it. All right, guys. Well, if you want to reach out to Sam, you can reach him via his website at brickeninvestmentgroup.com. Don't forget to check out his podcast as well. It's a great podcast. Definitely take a listen, okay? Hope you got some great insight on the laundromat business. It's a very interesting business. And you know what? It's something that if you're currently in the multifamily space and you want to maybe diversify into that, definitely kick it around, all right? Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll see you next episode. Take care.
You've been listening to the Bulletproof Cash Flow Show. We hope you've enjoyed the show. We know we had fun. Make sure to visit our Apple Podcast page and leave us a 5-star review. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information from the show. For real estate coaching, events, and resources, hit up bulletproofcashflow.com. Till next time.
No information in this episode should be considered specific, personal, or professional advice. Any investment opportunities mentioned on this show are limited to accredited or sophisticated investors. Any investments will only be made with proper disclosure and subscription documentation and subject to all applicable laws. Please consult an appropriate tax, legal, real estate, financial, or business professional for individualized advice.